Welcome back everyone, it's Eric from Murray Candy here. Today we are back with round 3 of the recent League Challenge I got to go attend at Cape Fear Games in Wilmington, North Carolina. So if you guys did miss it, we actually did upload rounds 1 and 2 already. I will have links down below in the description if you guys do want to check those out. And of course, whenever the other rounds get uploaded, they will be down there below as well. But here in this round, for round 3, we actually have a Zacian ADP mirror match. On the left, we have Shawn, Aronson, and over on the right, we have Chris Schuffert. Now, Chris, from what I understand, is playing Crushing Hammer in his list. That's going to be his big differentiating factor for his list. But we'll have to see which one is ultimately going to come out on top here. It looks like Shawn is getting that Jirachi start. It's definitely his ideal starter Pokemon in the deck. Now, unfortunately for him, Chris does start an Absol. Absol is definitely going to make retreating these Jirachis a little bit clunkier throughout the course of a game. Absol, of course, has that ability, does increase the retreat cost of your opponent's basic Pokemon by a colorless energy. So that's definitely going to make, Shawn's mobility options a little bit clunkier, but he also has his own Absol to kind of even things out. But here he's going to go for a quick ball, grabbing himself an Arceus Dialga Palkia GX. This is definitely his ideal sort of turn 1 play. He wants to find himself this ADP plus a manual attachment for turn. With the ADP deck, that's really about all you want to see. Anything else beyond that's kind of just like gravy on top. But here it looks like he's getting down an Aurora Energy. So he does have to discard a card from hand if he does want to play that. That's that new special energy from Sword and Shield. So he has to discard an energy. He's going to get rid of the Guzma Hala, but this energy does provide one of every type, much like with Rainbow Energy. So let's see what Chris is going to do in response over here. His starter is not quite as good as Shawn's over there on the left, but let's see. So he also has his own Guzma Hala. He's going to discard a Metal Energy. That's definitely a good target. Beyond that, from there, looks like he's going to get rid of his Skateboard. So that seems okay for me, just because, Shawn does have his own Absol in play. So a Skateboard, really not going to get the sort of value out of it that you would typically want to get against other decks that don't play their own Absol. So here it looks like Chris is going to grab himself a Shrine of Punishment. Maybe an Aurora Energy of his own if he's playing that, and he's going for another Skateboard, it appears, too. So thinning some cards out of his deck. Now, does he have a way to get an Arceus Dialga Palkia GX or a way to get a Zacian V? That's kind of the next question here. So let's take a look at his hand. We see he has a Metal Saucer. He is going to get down the Shrine of Punishment. It's definitely good. That's going to set up this Arceus Dialga Palkia GX, potentially be knocked out by a Zacian later, and just to pass. So this is actually a really rough start on Chris's end. So there actually is a world where Shawn could potentially win this turn, but it seems kind of unlikely. He would have to get 2 Metal Energy in the discard pile, find himself a Zacian, a manual attachment, 2 Metal Saucers, and a switch. So he could actually make that happen, but the Absol is going to make it a little bit tougher, forcing him to need an extra combo piece, and I don't even know if he has any Metal Energy to discard here. So here he's just going to toss his hand with Professor's Research. But even if he doesn't get a knockout this turn, I honestly don't think it's a big deal. I think he's content just going in and trying to use Ultra Creation GX. So here it looks like he is going to discard a Shrine of Punishment when attaching that second Aurora Energy, and we're going to see a Quick Ball. So no doubt the big thing that Shawn's really going to be looking for here is going to be a switch. He wants to get that turn 2 Ultra Creation GX, and then next turn, ideally just knock out this Absol to win. I think that's his sort of dream scenario here. So here we're seeing a Quick Ball, getting rid of a Custom Catcher, grabbing a Zacian V out of the deck, I guess before he plays this Dedenne GX. And then just going for Dedenne. So I think actually maybe I would have liked to have seen him play the Custom Catcher before the Quick Ball, because he would have drawn an extra card in the process this way. Because, he desperately wants to find that switching out this turn. I'm not sure what Shawn's list looks like, but I would imagine he plays for switch. And from there, that might just be a pass. I don't think he actually had one. So here he is going to use Intrepid Sword to end his turn. Of course, the ability on Zacian V allows him to look at the top 3 cards of his deck, attach a Metal Energy he finds there to Zacian V, and then he gets to keep the rest of the cards. So unfortunately for Shawn, Chris did top deck a basic, so he's going to get down that Zacian V with a Metal Energy here. And he does have an Aurora Energy of his own, so he can start powering up this Zacian, of course, getting rid of a Chaotic Swell. And if he doesn't have a supporter, we might just see an Intrepid Sword of his own, so here he is going to go for a switch. And what from there? I have to say that seems like kind of a risky maneuver, leaving it in the active spot. Because if Shawn decides to, he can power up his own Zacian and take a knockout here, because he doesn't have a Metal Frying Pan or anything like that to prevent this Zacian from being one-shotted. So I think I definitely would have liked to have seen the Absol remain in the active spot. So here it looks like Shawn is going to get down another energy on this Zacian V. Going to use that Stellar Witch ability on Jirachi. So it looks like that's what he's playing for here. It looks like he's playing for the maybe the KO on the Zacian this turn. Actually, I guess not. And here he is going to use Fion to bring up this Absol. Okay, so if he's doing that, that tells me he's probably going to go for the Altered Creation GX this turn. Which seems good. That's definitely his ideal sort of like long-term strategy here. You know, of course, Altered Creation GX, that is the GX attack on this Arceus Dialga Palkia GX. The attacks do 30 more damage for the rest of the game. And then also whenever your Pokemon take a knockout, you get an additional prize card in the process. So here, now this is definitely, I think, a suspect move. We did just see Chris kind of barely draw past the past couple turns, and Shawn used a reset stamp on him before getting rid of his hand. I'm not a big fan of that. You know, sometimes going for the reset stamp is worth it, but I think when your opponent's having a tricky start here, I would have much preferred to see him leave Chris with kind of that clunky hand he had previously. But at the very least, he was able to get off his GX attack this turn. And so we'll have to see how Chris is going to respond. Let's see if he has a way to get going. So here we do see the first of the Crushing Hammers, and we do see a Heads getting rid of that Aurora Energy. So that's going to basically ensure that this Arceus Dialga Palkia GX can't use Ultimate Rail in this next turn. And that's pretty big. That honestly might put Shawn back, you know, far enough to maybe, you know, allow Chris to get back in the game here. So now, luckily for Shawn, most of the Crushing Hammers didn't work, and you can see Chris is going all in on the coin flip cards. He's playing Pokemon Catcher as well. So he's going to bring up Absol. And we do see a Quick Ball, so getting rid of what looks to be a Metal Energy here. Going for his own Arceus Dialga Palkia GX. Okay. So let's see what he's going to do from there. Okay, so still no supporter. So here he's just going to have to end his turn with another Intrepid Sword. But at least he's starting to finally get stabilized here. You know, he's got a fully powered Zacian V. He's got this ADP that's one attachment away. But here it looks like he did hit an energy off of the Intrepid Sword, and he is going to opt to attach it to this Zacian V. You know, it doesn't need 4 energies, but I guess the one upside to this is that if he ever has to manually retreat, it does allow him to keep an extra energy on Zacian in the process. So here we are going to see another attachment on Shawn's own Zacian, and it looks like he is thinking about taking a knockout on this Absol. Oh, and here he does have a Great Catcher, and he is able to bring up this ADP, and that's actually really big. So he's going to be able to knock out this Arceus Dialga Palkia GX, and he's going to take 4 prize cards. That's insane. So in this scenario, all Shawn has to do now is take 1 more knockout, and he actually just wins the game. It doesn't matter what it's on. So let's see what Chris is going to do from here. You know, he could definitely knock out this opposing Zacian. Here he's just going to go for Cynthia. So he finally hits a draw supporter. You know, he was kind of starved for draw supporters this game thus far. But you can see his deck is starting to kind of come alive a little bit here. But you have to ask, I mean, it's 6 prizes to 2. He hasn't even used Altered Creation GX yet. So his deck really is in a tricky spot, but you know, luckily he does have this Zacian powered up. It looks like he's going to be able to power up another Zacian. He might actually be able to stream these attacks, you know, successfully enough for the rest of the game to maybe mount a comeback here, but he's definitely in a really, really bad spot right now. Yeah, we're just going to see a Brave Blade taking a knockout and finally drawing his first 2 prizes here. So this is actually a pretty important knockout for Chris too, just because you know, Shawn's already burned through a few switches at this point. In order to get an attack off, he's going to need a metal energy attachment and 2 metal saucers for turn. Here he does hit 1 off of the Stellar Wish, but he's going to need to find at least another. But honestly, even if he gets, well, yeah, he might be able to do this. It's like I say, he has gone through a few switching outs thus far, but oh, and he might actually have a switch in hand. He might be having to discard with Professor's Research. That would actually be pretty bad if that's the case. So here's going to get down Lysander Labs, okay, just to, I guess, prevent that Shrine of Punishment damage from racking up. And okay, no, that's a Marnie he has in hand, so he is going to be able to put that switch back in his deck. That was one thing I was worried about. If that was a research, he would have to get rid of yet again another switch. But if he can hit, I don't know if he has a way to actually, yeah, I don't see a metal saucer in his hand, so unfortunately he still won't be able to attack this turn up until this point. So here looks like he's just going to end his turn with an Intrepid Sword. That will allow him to get some more energy in play at the very least. And next turn he can ideally attack and then just win the game. But if Chris has another Pokemon catcher and can flip heads, oh, and here he actually does. If he flips heads, this is huge. Yeah, so he's going to bring up the Zacian. He's going to take a knockout, going down to 2 prizes of his own. And now Shawn has already gone through a lot of resources in terms of his metal saucers and metal energies. Cobbling together another Zacian might actually be a really big challenge for him. And if that's the case, I mean, Chris might end up stealing this game after having, you know, such a rough start at the beginning. But here, I really don't know what else Chris really needs at this point. He's got his 2 Zacians. So here he's just going to hard retreat. Now, if he can find himself if he can play another Metal Saucer this turn or something to get this Zacian on the bench powered up again, that would also be good. Just in case he's going to have to hard retreat on the next turn for some reason. But, you know, he definitely looks to be in a decent spot. Here he's going to get down Vitality Band, probably just to thin it out of his hand at this point. And here he is going to go for a Crushing Hammer. Does flip tails. I don't think the hammer flip is too important at this point, just because realistically Shawn's never going to attack with this ADP anyways. So here, yeah, Chris is going to take a knockout, going down 2 prizes and tying the game up. And Shawn's probably thinking, like, what is going on? Like, I went down to 2 prizes on like the 3rd turn and Chris still hadn't played a draw supporter. How, you know, how am I in this mess right now? So I'm not sure how many Metal Saucers he's gone through, but that's definitely got to be a concern at this point. He needs a Zacian, an energy attachment, and 2 Metal Saucers, plus a switch for turn. It's a lot to ask for here. And yeah, I see at least 1 Metal Saucer in his hand. He really cannot afford to research this hand away. That's his next sort of issue that he has. So here it looks like he is opting to power up ADP here, and maybe just banking on winning via some sort of catching effect. But the ADP, it's a sketchy route to go because it can't actually one-shot an opposing Zacian. That's the big issue. And here we're just going to have to see a pass over to Chris. So if he has a way to switch twice and catcher, he just wins. And I'm pretty sure he has a Pokemon catcher in hand. So we'll have to see if he can, you know, get some good luck on these flips yet again. He's, I think, 2 for 2 right now on his Pokemon catchers. But here he's going to go for it. This is a big flip. And he does get it. Okay, so from here, he needs 2 switching methods. So does he have it? That's the next question. So here he's just going to go for Professor's Research, dumping his hand, getting a fresh hand of 7 here. And so does he have it? Like I said, he needs 2 switching cards right now. Or a switch plus an escape board and an energy. So let's see what he has. So he has the switch. So he's going to Stellar Wish. Does he find another switch? That's the next question. And the first card, there it is. So Chris miraculously comes back and wins this game. You can see he is pumped on this win. I would be too. Like, honestly, that was a really insane comeback that we saw here. You know, it really looked like Shawn was just going to run away with the whole thing at the beginning, but you know, that's why you got to play out your game sometimes, guys. Even when it looks like you are completely down and out, you can still cobble together a win just from, you know, hitting some good coin flips in some of these cases, you know, and punching your opponent on specific turns like this. So that's going to be round 3. Pretty interesting round to see. Of course, guys, we have some more rounds coming up. Definitely stay tuned for those. They will be linked down below in the description whenever they are uploaded. But of course, guys, if you did enjoy this content, feel free to like and subscribe, and consider supporting this channel as well by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or by picking up some merch from our online store, rarecandytcg.com. It would mean a lot. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.